This news story was produced by Cogeco North Bay News. To watch the full newscast, tune into channels 12 or 700 live at 5:30 p.m. Monday to Friday.
Well, now to our other top story, another national survey and another hit of bad news for the city of North Bay. The latest Money Sense survey has North Bay rated the 255th best place to live in the country, lower than Timmins, Timiskaming Shores, and Sudbury. This is a big fall from status in 2015, where the city ranked 133rd. Yes, they are surveying more cities this year, but it's still a big drop. It's also a big drop from where the city was rated in the late 2000s.
Well, it depends what you're comparing, and that's the problem with these surveys, and that's the problem with really being real happy when you score high on one and not being unhappy when you score low on one. I mean, these surveys really aren't relevant to what it is we're trying to accomplish in this city. We know where we're at, and we know what our strengths and weaknesses are.
So this doesn't cause you guys to have any reflection, maybe things should be done a little differently in North Bay?
Well, I think the strategic plan caused us to have a reflection that we needed to do things a little differently and prioritize things.
You're also the guy who told me a few months ago that there was a strategic plan done in the 90s and it sat on the table.
Well, and that's absolutely true, and we have to make sure that doesn't happen to this one. And there's no question we're having that conversation, and the new administrator is in charge of making sure that doesn't happen.
Mark King doesn't see it quite the same way as Marousas, and he says these stats have a story to tell.
You know, obviously from North Bay's standpoint, we all know very, very well that the average net family income in this city is lower than any of the other communities outside of North Bay and Northern Ontario. So that tells a story about our capability here, and really it's about opportunity, and quite frankly, we haven't gotten there, Greg, and you know, it's a highly unfortunate situation because we're so reliant on the province, for example, which has been contracting in every possible way that they can over the last number of years, and that's really affected the local economy.
But a lot of people are going to point fingers at council, saying they need to do things differently. What's your reaction to that thought?
Well, you know, Greg, I've watched some things go on in the last term that I wasn't overly happy about. You know, really, we still have this issue in my mind of high taxation that is actually affecting the ability of the city to grow. The mayor says one of the biggest things North Bay has failed to do is self-promotion.
You know, but the one thing that we don't do a good enough job is, and that's all of us, is promote exactly what we have here in the city of North Bay. So if you look at an environment, I mean, we have an environment that people are so envious of. It's very green. We have clean lakes, clean air. You know, you got a ski hill in the center of town, a college and a university, a beautiful waterfront, the Cape Paceway, you know, a beautiful hospital. So we have all the attributes. I think the one thing that we don't do a good enough job as a community is really promote ourselves. The hospital wasn't even built back when they did that survey in '09. So there's a lot of good things that have happened in our city, but like anything else, when you do these type of measurements, they measure climate. Well, in BC, you're going to get a better climate than you would in Northern Ontario, but if you like 4 seasons, then our climate's better. But they rate climate as one of them as well, and it's kind of hard to compete with the Victorias and Vancouvers and the west coast of our country.
Vic Fideli was mayor of North Bay in 2009 when those higher stats were released, although the sample size was about 160 cities, not 417. Fideli won't talk about those statistics, but says the current Money Sense report is a call to action for everyone.
You look at the rankings, I think this has to be, you can't deny them. It needs to be a wake-up call. You know, get mad and then do something about it, I think, is the proper thing. Look, I made my earlier comments all about, I think this is a fabulous place to live. I think it's a great place to raise a family. But obviously, issues that are important to people who are putting this ranking together, that needs to be taken into account. So they look at your employment numbers, they look at your crime numbers, and these are areas that would need work.
If you are interested in watching Cogeco North Bay News, you can become a subscriber by calling 1-800-267-9000.